The town of Arlington is on the fast track to install a faster track. Get ready for a permanent designated bus lane along Mass Ave in the near future. We talked to town leaders on when you'll be seeing it and its projected economic impact. The Bay State's governor ordering a 4-month ban of the sale of vaping products in what's now the most sweeping prohibition targeting e-cigarettes in the country. What's the reaction here? Brenda Mahoney has a report. A major rally in Arlington calling for our leaders to get with it in addressing climate change, part of a worldwide effort to create an awareness to a problem that affects each and every one of us. And we talked to NFL football royalty about a sports shrine that played a major part in a specific football play that allows Tom Brady to connect with Julian Edelman. And it has everything to do with architecture.
From McLennan Park to Spy Pond, from Poets Corner to the Mystic River, we have Arlington covered. We're your neighbors, a friend you can turn to. This is ACMi News.
East Arlington is getting its own fast lane of sorts. Hello, I'm Tyler Valancourt.
And I'm Eleni Kaminas. The bus priority lane that was tested last year will be permanently set up on Mass Ave the week of October 7th. The lane will be placed in the parking lane of eastbound Mass Ave between Varnum Street and Airway Parkway. MBTA routes 77, 79, and 350 will run Monday through Friday between 6 and 9 a.m. During these hours, stopping, standing, or parking will be prohibited. You'll recall the 2018 bus pilot program took place last fall and was funded by a $100,000 grant from the Barr Foundation.
The number of people that commute by public transportation in Arlington is about 17 to 18%. So it definitely, a few thousand people, I would say, would absolutely benefit from this. I think the 77 has around 10,000 people per day that ride it, going up and down, from Arlington to Cambridge and back again. So there are a lot of people. Everybody coming from Arlington going into Cambridge is going to benefit from this.
Anytime there are more options to get to businesses or to work, it benefits the business community too. It's easier for employees to get to work. It really just makes it easier for people to get around. Before we did this, we studied the parking, and the parking in this area wasn't really being utilized heavily at all during those early morning hours, and there were lots of other options to park for the small number of businesses that were open there during that time. So it seems like, based on the impact that the bus lane has had on the commute, it really seems like a good alternative.
The new paint job, police details, and designated signs for the permanent lane will cost nearly $100,000.
More than 7,000 protesters converged on Boston's City Hall Plaza late last week, joining up with more than 1 million strikers worldwide in a global climate strike. The passion in Arlington was no different. Well over 200 people met at Pleasant Street in Mass Ave September 20th, calling for quick and bold action on climate change. Many protesters you see are under 20 years of age and have been inspired by Swedish activist Greta Thunberg and favor progressive climate action and the Green New Deal. They also favor government action to prioritize workers and communities on the front lines of poverty and pollution, and for the state to stop using fossil fuels and building fossil fuel infrastructure.
It's important to me because this is the planet that I'm going to have to live on and the planet that my children will live on. And I want them to be able to see the beautiful parts of it that I've seen, and I want other people to be able to enjoy the parts of it that I have been able to.
This is hard. This is change that's hard. And hard things don't happen without effort. And hard things don't happen without a dream and a vision, and I think that the world can be better. I think we can have a much cleaner, greener, environmentally sensitive society that treats people well.
I really want to have a future. I'm not ready to give up on the last decades of my life yet and let them fall to climate change and the fact that we might not have a planet in a couple decades. That's my more selfish reason for being here, but also just because this is affecting everyone, everywhere. It's the whole planet, and so we all have to show up. We all have to speak out. We all gotta stand up.
And all around me, voice was sound. This land is your land.
Earlier in the day, students from the Thompson School staged their own rally along with several Arlington residents, singing Woody Guthrie's timeless anthem, "This Land is Your Land."
The swift and sudden ban on the sale of vaping products in the state had Arlington's health officials acting quickly. They went door to door to inform vendors who had legally been selling vaping and e-cig products until the state banned it September 24th. Governor Charlie Baker made the first in the nation decision due to an outbreak of lung illnesses and deaths connected to the heated nicotine devices, specifically among teens. ACMi's Brenda Mahoney caught up with one convenience store owner who says he's happy to comply with the ban.
When I saw the governor on the TV, I took him right off and put him under the counter.
Sims Mini Mart owner Ray Laham wasting no time in ridding his shelves of banned vaping products. He only started carrying them a few months ago, just before illnesses and deaths connected to the electronic nicotine devices started raging across the country.
I get the kids from the library because the library is doing so much for the young adults now, and they come over every afternoon, and they're a good group of kids, and no one wants to sell them a vape.
Laham has owned the convenience store for 5 years, taking it over from his uncles, who owned it for 50 before that.
How much is it?
$3.89.
For him, it's always been a place that treats customers like family, even knowing what the kids study in school.
You'll fall in love with it, my friend.
You had to be 21 to buy vaping products in stores like this, but still, kids getting their hands on them somehow.
I'd like to know where they're getting them from and who's buying them, and and let them come down with exactly what's causing the problem with them.
It's young adults who've been affected the most by respiratory illnesses across the nation. Data just released from Arlington's Youth Risk Behavior Survey showing the rate of Arlington high schoolers who regularly vape nearly tripled in the past 2 years to just under 24%. Former vapor Patrick Tenter says the amount of nicotine in vaping products was bad enough, but the unknown ingredients just aren't worth the risk.
There's younger kids doing it too, and I think that's like my biggest issue on it. I think just taking it away is going to be huge.
The ban will last for 4 months as state health officials work with the CDC to figure out the exact root of the vaping illnesses. In the meantime, Ray Laham will keep watching out for his young customers.
People, they're not customers that come in here. They're family, and the kids are like, my own kids.
Brenda Mahoney, ACMi News.
Arlington Director of Health and Human Services Natasha Waden tells ACMi News that all 19 vendors in town have removed vaping products from their shelves. She reminds folks that vaping is not a safe alternative to smoking, and if you or a family member need help quitting, they've got resources. Just call them at 781-316-3170 or visit the health department's webpage at arlingtonma.gov.
Town leaders are looking for better communication and cooperation with National Grid to get several gas leaks fixed in town. Arlington, like many surrounding communities, has what's known as a gas leaks task force. Its objective? To see more than 200 gas leaks throughout Arlington are fixed faster. Town leaders say residents are understandably afraid that many leaks pose a public safety hazard, and it's no secret the leaks have damaged the tree population. A multi-town group of leaders from roughly 20 cities and towns gathered at Town Hall this week to work with National Grid's top executives to plug the leaks.
We actually have the president of National Grid, Marcy Reed, who's going to be coming to a meeting here in Arlington Town Hall. We'll have those 20-some cities and towns, and we want to collectively or collaboratively chart a path forward to try to get these gas leaks fixed.
That gas forum will take place October 15th at Town Hall.
Arlington Rec and Sports Etc. is teaming up with the Arlington Hockey Club to sponsor an equipment drive for future hockey stars. If you have any old hockey gear collecting dust in your house, this is a great way to tidy up and defer some hefty equipment costs to young aspiring hockey players. It's easy to do. Just go to the Ed Burns Arena and place your used equipment in the bin provided. Organizers prefer lightly used skates, helmets, shin guards, hockey pants, gloves, and shoulder pads with no holes, tears, or deformities. Please, no socks or jerseys. Equipment will be used to help new first-time registered players in the instructional and developmental programs in AHC.
Arlington's police force now has a new school resource officer. Officer Brian White stepped into his new role last week. In his 7 years on the force, White has taken part in several student-related and community policing activities, and he says it's especially important in this age of unforeseen and, at times, unimaginable events. Among his functions at Arlington schools, addressing the damaging impact of bullying.
I think there's two parts of it. I think you have the victims of bullying, but I also view the bulliers as victims too, because I'm going to guess that there's some kind of issue that's driving them to be the bully. So I want to talk to both sides and see if there's a root issue with the bulliers. But we also have presentations where if students are getting bullied, they can learn that they can speak to their teachers, they can come to me, they can go to the principal, and then we'll investigate and talk to who we have to talk to. What I'm going to try to do is just be visible in the schools and kind of be there for the students and the faculty and administration if there's any ongoing issues, but kind of just to reassure the kids that like the schools are safe. I'm going to be there to keep them safe. The staff's going to be there to keep them safe, and kind of just be there to let them know that they can talk to the police if they have something going on at home or just any kind of life questions. It's more of just being like available and visible and like willing to speak to the kids and anybody else that needs.
Before becoming an officer, White was a special ed assistant teacher and an ice hockey and lacrosse coach at Arlington and Minuteman high schools.
As Arlington's young minds head back to school, they're getting a lot of help from the town's Boys and Girls Club. For the 4th consecutive year, the club is opening its doors for its back-to-school supply shopping program, a campaign where kids can shop for all of the necessary school supplies donated entirely by private contributions. You'll find pens, pencils, binders, notebooks, backpacks, lunchboxes, markers, everything students can use as they head back to the classroom. So far, Boys and Girls Club leaders say nearly 150 students have combed through these wares, getting what they need from the Boys and Girls Club of Arlington and generous donors, all helping preschoolers to high schoolers reach their full potential in the classroom with the tools they need to succeed.
If you spend any time with Upton Bell, you'll soon realize you're talking to sports history.
Bell was the former Boston Patriots general manager in 1971 when the team played at Harvard Stadium, long before Gillette Stadium came to be, a stadium that played a powerful role in the way modern football is played today.
ACMi's Jeff Barnes sat down with Bell in what has become the perfect shrine to America's premier professional sport.
I've been to every stadium in America. This is the only stadium built in 1903. They're building all these fancy places, you know, where you can have a beer and a drink and steak and everything else and pay attention to your lousy football team. But here, because I've done games, I did the Harvard-Yale game here back in 1983, is the sweep of this stadium all the way around. It's the only stadium in America where there is no obstructed view. You can sit in the end zone. You can sit anywhere here, up or down. It's raised off the field and see a game here. There is so much history here. This was the first time I did a camera shoot, for the first time I'm doing an interview here. And if I was an altar boy, I'd get down and bow to this sacred place. I mean, this is great.
From what I understand, this stadium was built in 1903, and the football game was very violent back then. It was a running and kicking game, and people were actually dying. Like, there was 13 who died in the early 20th century. They wanted to ban the game altogether, but Teddy Roosevelt, of all people, said, no, let's tweak the game. Let's make the field wider so there's less collisions. But the problem with that is here, the stadium was just built and it's too narrow to widen the field. So I understand this is the field that inspired the idea for the forward pass, which is now an everyday play in modern day football.
Dominates the game. And it's interesting because my grandfather on my father's side, John C. Bell, who was the Attorney General of Pennsylvania, trustee of the University of Pennsylvania, was also second in seniority on the Walter Camp Rules Committee, and he negotiated, as did Walter Camp with Teddy Roosevelt. The modern day NCAA that you now see today was co-founded by my grandfather on my father's side, John C. Bell, who was one of the great orators of the day, and actually, before this in 1885, played that vicious, tough football in a stocking cap. And so he goes way back on that side, and so it goes from him to my father and then all the way down the line. But people don't realize also, now the Ivy League's totally different today, but the Ivy League was the biggest league in America. It annually sent people to the teams to the bowl games. It was that big. I mean, this is where football really, in some ways, was invented and played. The history here is incredible.
Upton Bell also comes from football royalty. His dad bought the Philadelphia Eagles for $2,500 in 1933. Upton's papa, Bert Bell, would also go on to purchase the Pittsburgh Steelers and become the commissioner of the National Football League. We'll have more reports from Upton Bell as we celebrate 100 years of NFL football.
Coming up on the other side of the break, from football history to the present, we have all the sports highlights from this week in our sports update from Studio B. And it's the 2019 fall premiere of Ponderscope.
But first, trying to eliminate food waste while helping out our society's most vulnerable citizens. The first of a series of reports on how some area food truck vendors are doing everything they can to combat hunger. That and more when we come back.
If you see news happening in your area and you have a smartphone, you can see it, shoot it, send it. Make sure to hold your phone horizontally and send us your video. Or share your video with us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just look for ACMi News.
The leaves are falling and you'll be falling in love with our fall workshops. Tuesday evenings in September and October, Arlington Community Media brings you a new lineup of media workshops from a variety of topics. Learn how to create films with your phone, create your own YouTube channel, hand-drawn animation, and more. Workshops are only the price of an annual membership, which includes access to production facilities, computer suites, camera equipment, and all upcoming classes and events. So join us on Tuesdays starting on September 17th from 6 to 8:30 p.m. at 85 Park Avenue in Arlington Heights. Check out acmi.tv or call 781-777-1115 for more information.
It's hard to fathom that in a land of plenty like the U.S., more than 40 million people struggle with hunger. That, according to the hunger relief group Feeding America. ACMi member Margie DeMonte has produced a short docuseries called Feeding the Homeless and Hungry, a report that focuses on solutions to the issues of hunger and homelessness in our area. Her first installment comes from the recent Cambridge Food Truck Festival and the many food truck vendors who actually donate their leftover food to help fight the scourge of hunger. Ari Kendall is the owner of the Chick Chack food truck, and he tells Margie how his livelihood allows him not just to make a buck, but to help others who really need it.
We do Israeli food. We do falafel and grilled chicken, beef kebabs, hummus and baba ganoush. Yeah. I've been a chef for about 10 years here in Boston, and it was at a point where I wanted to pursue more of my own passions and create food that meant a little bit more to me. And so I went off and started a food truck. Yeah, so we've worked with Loving Spoonfuls, which is an organization out here in Boston. They come around and pick up leftover food that restaurants and caterers have and feed the homeless.
Watch ACMi for more installments of Feeding the Homeless and Hungry. Many thanks to Margie DeMonte and ACMi intern Harvey Kelly for contributing to the story.
Now that the school year is well underway, there are many activities taking place at Arlington High School. And among the many activities?
Sports! Here's now is the latest Ponderscope and sports update from Studio B.
Welcome to the Ponderscope, your Arlington High School news, updates, and more. This Friday, September 27th, there will be a special breakfast for new students in the cafeteria. This is a wonderful opportunity for newly transferred students to meet some of the AHS faculty while enjoying breakfast. Students interested in attending should report directly to the cafeteria after homeroom. If you have any questions, feel free to speak with Ms. Benson in the school counseling office. Registration for the PSAT exam is now open. Juniors have the option to take the PSAT on the morning of Wednesday, October 16th. The exam costs $21 and the deadline for registration is Monday, October 7th. From October 7th to 11th, students may still register, but will incur a late fee. For more information or to access the online form, make sure to check your Spy Ponders email. If you are a junior interested in supporting your class, make sure to buy the new Class of 2021 apparel. The sale is open through October 11th and includes sweatshirts, t-shirts, and crew necks. All the money collected will go to making future events cheaper. The link to purchase can be found in your Spy Ponders email and on the Daily Post. Arlington Community Ed is now hiring students to help with cooking classes and as tech support for the fall term. Classes are at 5:30 on Tuesdays and Thursdays and at 2:30 on Wednesdays. The pay is $12 for tech students and $13 for culinary. You must be 16 or older to apply. If you're interested in this opportunity, apply in person at the Community Ed office across from Old Hall. I'm Sagar Rastogi, and this has been the Ponderscope. Now I'll send it over to Nick for this week's sports update.
Hello Arlington sports lovers, and welcome back for another edition of your ACMi Sports Update. Boys soccer had a tough 5-0 loss against Lexington last Friday, although the final score does not show how good of a game it was. Girls soccer battled to a 0-0 tie against the tough Lexington side.
Carolyn is making the run. Carolyn gets to it. Carolyn has it one-on-one. Carolyn goes around. Has Sophie. Sophie has it. She has a player on her. Does she see her? Sophie chips it in. Too much.
On Monday night, boys soccer beat BC High 3-0 on their annual breast cancer awareness night. Senior goalie Grant Griesman came up with a big penalty save that stopped any hopes of BC High getting back into it.
Here we go. Takes the shot. And a save! What a save by Griesman! And the crowd going wild. Wow.
On Wednesday, boys soccer couldn't find the back of the net against Winchester, as the very even game ended 0-0. Girls soccer lost to Winchester 3-1 on the road. Coming up in next week's matchups, this Friday, boys soccer continues their streak of home games against Belmont at 4 p.m. Football takes the field right after them, as they're back at home at a 7 p.m. game against Woburn. On Saturday, girls soccer heads to Belmont at 12 p.m. This has been the ACMi Sports Update. I'm Nick Antonakis. Back to you at Studio A.
Eleni.
Tyler.
You won't believe what one could find behind an anchor desk, besides CoverGirl makeup, of course. Check this thing out. It's right here.
The Old Schwab Mill Oktoberfest, Saturday, October 5th, 2019, from noon to 4. Wow, summer really is over. Arlington's Oktoberfest is in its 3rd year. There will be a celebration at the Schwab Mill October 5th, highlighting the Schwab family's German heritage. There will be German food like bratwurst, pretzels, and pastries, and you can wash it all down with artisan craft beer by the Aeronaut Brewery.
There will also be musical performances by the Groove Miners and Western Swing by the Beantown Buckaroos. $5 per person, $15 for the whole family. And it's from noon to 4, so come on out. I, of course, will be donning my splendidly alluring lederhosen for this event.
I look forward to it. That'll do it for us here in Studio A. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Eleni Kaminas.
And I'm Tyler Valancourt. We hope you're enjoying the beautiful fall weather. Less than 3 months till Christmas.
Have a holly jolly week. Too soon?
It's perfect.
We'll see you next week.
You can always check out our latest segments and newscasts on the web at acmi.tv/news. And don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at ACMi News. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. You'll find us at youtube.com/ACMi News. If you have any news tips for us or wish to become a citizen journalist, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at news@acmi.tv or stop by ACMi Studio A at 85 Park Avenue.